Today on the Busting My Butt Says podcast, I'll be discussing what metrics YouTube actually prioritizes, how I edit my video podcast, and a whole lot more, so go ahead and stick around. This last week, Renee Ritchie, who is the YouTube liaison or the creator liaison, opened up on Twitter for some questions from creators, and there were some great questions. But the responses to those questions are even greater, and there is a lot of great information that I need to share with you because this is shifting my entire view of what's important on YouTube and what I ought to be focusing on in terms of analytics and metrics to determine what videos do well and what videos do poorly. Renee opened up by asking, what are your biggest questions around creating content on YouTube? Somebody named Matt Jarbo asked him, we all know that YouTube prioritizes watch time, but what if your channel is full of long live streams? How do you still create short-form content and have it be seen by your audience? Renee wrote, in 2015, YouTube switched from optimizing for watch time to optimizing for satisfaction. YouTube realized that not all watch time was equal and wanted people to feel fulfilled by what they watched. So I'd lean into making the most satisfying content regardless of format. Then Roberto Blake, who is a YouTube guru, chimed in and asked, hey, YouTube liaison and hitsman, what does YouTube use as metrics to qualify satisfaction? Since it's not watch time, what metrics do we have in analytics that are indicators of viewer enjoyment from YouTube's perspective? Then Todd B., who is at hitsman, responded, if you don't know who Todd B. is, he is somebody who works at YouTube in the algorithm department. He responded and said, likes, dislikes, survey responses. Raw survey data is too sparse to be useful to creators, but it is useful in driving long-term viewer satisfaction. Our systems use the survey responses combined with other signals to predict video satisfaction for each viewer, and it works well. Then somebody named Brendan asked a clarifying question, and they said, so the notion that likes are meaningless is wrong? It has meaningful impact on performance? And Todd's response was, yes, same for dislikes. They are a negative signal for satisfaction, not a positive signal for engagement, as many have wrongly claimed. I know that was a lot of reading, and I know I was simply restating what other people wrote on Twitter, but there is a lot of great information here. There is a lot to unpack. And this has made me reassess what is important on YouTube, what analytics I should be focusing on in the Creator Studio, what I should be trying to accomplish with how I edit my videos. Because for the longest time, watch time was promoted as the end-all be-all. It started around 2012 to 2015, where you had a lot of long videos, a lot of long video game Let's Plays blowing up, because they were 30-minute videos, and 30-minute videos led to more watch time in raw numbers. A 30-minute video may have a 10-minute watch time, which is 33% completion, while a 10-minute video, which was a lot more common back then, that had 5 minutes of watch time, in terms of percent completion would be better, 50% complete versus 33% complete, but in raw watch minutes, that shorter video is worse. 5 minutes of watch time versus 10 minutes of watch time. And back then, we did actually see those longer videos that might have a lower percentage completion, but a greater overall watch minutes. We saw those videos getting promoted a lot more and those channels growing insanely fast. That is why we have those massive gaming channels, the PewDiePies, the Jacksepticeye's, the Cinnamon Toast Kens, all of those channels. I can't remember any of them. I didn't really get into that type of content. But it makes sense why watch time was promoted and still has been promoted as such an important analytic. That is what led to the massive channels that we see today. But it seems as though, directly from the horse's mouth, directly from somebody who works on the YouTube algorithm, that watch time is not the most important analytic to focus on. Reading through these tweets, it seems as though what is most important is viewer satisfaction. Making sure that the people watching your content leave fulfilled, making sure they enjoy the video that they are watching, making sure that they have a desire to go and watch more content. Unfortunately for us as content creators, there is no little button, no little number on the back end, no little number in the creator studio that says, here is your average viewer satisfaction. So we need to interpret a number of factors to determine viewer satisfaction. It seems to be an aggregate of a number of analytics, as they point out, likes and dislikes, which I didn't think mattered at all. For years, people have said they don't matter. Hey, you get dislikes? That is user engagement. That's a positive thing for you, but it seems like that's the exact opposite. Dislikes seem to have a big impact on the performance of a video, on the recommendation of a video. That's scary. Also, user surveys. We don't get that information, but apparently they use that in the algorithm. And I will also speculate here. I think that watch time does still matter. Maybe not raw watch time, but completion percentage. I think that is a big indicator for viewer satisfaction. Maybe they won't say, somebody watched 40% of this, somebody watched 50%. Okay, the 40% sucks. Let's not recommend that. But I imagine if you have 1% completion, a lot of people only watching 10 seconds of your video, that would be indicative, or how does he say it? That would be a negative signal for satisfaction. So I think that if your plan or if your desire is to grow on YouTube, likes and dislikes may actually be something that we need to focus on again. I don't like that. I have avoided saying certain things because I hate all of that. But I want to run an experiment on this video, and I will report back. I will open up the back-end analytics to you and share this with you so we can use this as a learning experience. I want to try to get this video to be the most liked podcast episode on this channel. So I am requesting, if you are watching this, if you are listening to this, go over to the YouTube version of this video and like it. I want to see what that does to the impressions, to the distribution. Next week, we'll do the exact same thing, but with dislikes. I want to see what happens when a video just gets downvoted. All of the likes, gone. Just all dislikes. How does that impact distribution and impressions? And then we can use this episode and next week's episode to compare what the performance is like. We can try to understand how likes and dislikes are being used to impact the distribution. I think that would be interesting. So go ahead. This is one of the few times I will do this. I am embarrassed already. I'm gonna do it. Get ready to smash that like button. Woo! Like that smash button. That's not right. I'm terrible at this. Is there dogs howling outside? That was terrible. Okay, I'm never doing that again. Nobody clip that, whatever you do. So that is the experiment that we are going to do, and I will report back. And that is all that I wanted to talk about. Now we are going to jump to what I have been testing, and you have been listening to it. I am on a new tube microphone from Lewitt. This is the Lewitt Pure Tube, and this microphone is on loan from Lewitt. Full disclosure, this costs $1,300 if you get the full kit, which includes the shock mount, which I do recommend because if you don't have a shock mount, what are you going to do with a microphone this shape? Be difficult to use. I would love if they included the firm microphone clip in the box, which they didn't do, and I'm going to criticize them for it. I want that firm microphone clip. Especially for that price, you should get both. But this has that standard Lewitt sound, very bright top end. And I did a video on the Deuce, the Podcastage 2 channel. I compared 4 Lewitt microphones and a couple of others. But what I learned, the Lewitt LCT 840 doesn't really fit amongst the other Lewitt microphones in terms of sound. Much smoother, a bit darker, more mid-focused, really a great sounding microphone. And The Lewitt PureTube, much more in line with that Lewitt sound. The 240, which is solid state, 440, which is solid state, very bright. This is very bright as well, but I hear it being a bit smoother in the top end, so it doesn't have that same harshness as the solid state microphones. But as far as the selling point of this microphone, it would have to be the self noise. It has a self noise of 7 dBA, and compared to their solid state microphones, you may think that's a bit higher. But for tube mics, that is just bonkers. I just did the MA200 review, and the self-noise of that was 14-ish dBA. I think the U67 might be 16 dBA. So they got the self-noise of this thing down incredibly low. My understanding of how they did that, they eliminated a lot of the circuitry and a lot of the transistors or resistors or something. I am not an audio engineer to that level. They eliminated a lot of the stuff in here, and they tried to make as direct a path as they could from the capsule to the output. And that is how they did it, getting the self-noise that low. So if you like the Lewitt sound, that brightness, and you're hoping to find a smoother version of it, this seems to do that. I will be doing a full review, so don't buy anything based on my brief discussion here. But that is what I have been testing. Now, let us jump to what you had to say, and the first comment comes from Hassan. He says, "Hey Bandrew, how do you edit your podcast for both video and audio versions? I imagine you only apply processing in Logic Pro, but how and where do you cut the clip so that the audio and video versions are both the same? Do you export the audio from the edited video and upload it to Libsyn? Cheers." Hassan, thank you very much for the comment and the question. To answer this, I filmed the video. I filmed a walkthrough, so let's go ahead and jump to past Bandrew. For the video podcast, I used 2 cameras, one being the primary angle, the other being the overhead angle. Both of these cameras are recording to the internal SD card. Simultaneously, I record my microphone's audio directly on my computer. When I am done recording, I hit stop on all devices. Then I drop the SD cards into my computer and transfer the files over so that I can start editing and syncing and all of that. Then I open up Logic Pro and I have a podcasting template that I use. It has most of my plugins, it has my outro music and the outro bumper, all of that. I open up that file and I drop my audio recording into Logic Pro so that I can begin processing it. I run all of my processing. Let's just assume it's all perfect. Then I will export that audio as 24-bit 48 kilohertz wave. Once the files have been transferred and once the audio has been processed, I drag and drop those into my non-linear video editor, which is Final Cut Pro. I will highlight both of the video angles and the processed audio and create something called a multicam clip. I create a new video project. We'll call this Video Edit Demo, and this will be the audio version of that edit. When I have that set up, I drag and drop my multicam clip onto the timeline. This is where I do all of my actual editing, because if I edited the audio in my DAW and then put it into my nonlinear editor, the audio and the video files would be different lengths. So I have to do all of my editing once the audio and the video are synced up. The beginning of this recording, I had a bunch of false starts. I goofed up a bit, so we'll delete that. At about 5 seconds, we'll just assume that I made a boo-boo, so I'll change from angle 1 to angle 2. There's a few seconds of me screwing up there, so I will cut that out. Then we'll switch back just for consistency to angle 1 about 5 seconds later. 5 seconds later, jump back to angle 2, and that is how I edit. Once I am done editing, I will play back the entire file. I will say, okay, at 7 seconds, I started talking about this topic. At about 21 seconds, I started talking about another topic, and that's how I will come up with the timestamps to put in my description and to embed in the MP3. Something I want to point out, I have 2 different edits for each episode of the podcast. I have the audio edit and I have the video edit. The audio edit has the introduction music and it has the introduction plugging the podcast network, all of that, while the video edit, which goes directly to YouTube, cuts out that introduction music and the plugs for the podcast network because YouTube audiences have very little tolerance for any kind of time waste. They want the content immediately. So I have 2 separate edits. Once everything is finalized and I have completed the edit, I will go to share the project. I will export a 1080p or a 4K video version to upload to YouTube. And then I will share a second file, and the second file is going to be a WAV file. So I export the audio as well. Once I have that file, I drop it into the Forecast app. This is where I add podcast title, episode title, summary, timestamps, artwork, all of that. I encode this as a 160 kilobits per second MP3, and this is what I upload to Libsyn. So when I am finished, I have multiple files. I have a 4K video file, which has 1 edit, and then I have a 160 kilobits per second MP3, which is a secondary edit. The audio file goes to Libsyn, the video file goes to YouTube. There you go. That's very weird trying to do that sound in reverse and doing the motion in reverse. I highly recommend you try that because I can assure you, you won't look stupid doing it at all, especially if you record yourself and publish it on the internet. Nothing bad will ever come of this. Nobody will ever use that against you. I hope that was helpful. Walking through the editing process, the syncing process, how I have multiple edits, which is a nightmare because then I have to do multiple timestamps, but I do this to ensure that I am producing content for each of the platforms in a way that the consumer, the people consuming the content, are expecting and the way that they enjoy the most. I hope that made sense. Next, we have a comment from Diablo Monk. You mentioned who does your outro recently. What about the outro music? Is that you playing everything? Diablo Monk, thank you very much for the comment. Yes, the outro music was written by me and performed by me. I did a live stream 4 or 5-ish years ago where I was coming up with it, writing it. It was right when I got the brand new artwork by Tristan Tate. If I remember correctly, Tristan Tate, who did my podcast artwork, and I needed new music to fit the theme, fit the vibe of that. So I wanted that kind of 80s, what is it called, neon wave? I don't know the terminology, but I wanted something that sounded like that. I responded to your comment last week with a link to the edited video coming up with the theme music, but I will put that in the episode notes this week and the description this week in case you want to watch me come up with a theme song and watch a moment that every single musician has had. I hate all of this. Why do I even try to write music? I suck. I'm going to quit. That was captured in that live stream and in the edited video. It's something that everybody comes up with. Everybody encounters. Thank you very much for the comment and the question. I appreciate it. Let's go to the next question from Andrew Burkett. He says, Bandrew, take the money. We want you to take it. I want you to take it. I think Sweetwater has sent you gear before and you reviewed it. Nobody said your sponsor has to be related to podcasting. We both watch LTT. We know their sponsors are all over the place. I implore you to look for sponsors who would love to expand their demographic. Do a sponsor spot in the middle of the video on Podcastage. It could be about Ridge Wallet, and I would be happy to see it. You can be ethical and get paid. You've done the work. Strike pay dirt. Andrew, thank you very much for the comment and for advocating that I get paid, that I make that bag, as modern kids would say, and my stomach growls. I appreciate that. I would love to make that bag, become a rich fool who over-enunciates everything. People already think I over-enunciate everything, Maybe that's why I lose viewers. They think I'm super wealthy and rich because I over-enunciate. Because I have made my bag. I have made my wealth. What the hell am I talking about? I would absolutely take more sponsorships from Sweetwater. I would happily take massive checks from Sweetwater. Audio retailers make sense because there's no conflict of interest there. They don't care if I crap on a product. They didn't make it. As long as I promote their service, as long as I promote their dealership, they're happy. I can crap on mic X, Y, or Z as long as I still like mic ABC and I link those mics on their platform. They're happy campers. So that is a very mutually beneficial advertisement agreement. I would love to. I don't actively go out and seek ads, though. That might be a problem for me. Because Sweetwater doesn't actively send out emails to me saying, hey, we'd love to be on your videos. We'd love to send you checks, massive checks, bags of money, so that you could make that bag. They don't do that. There are a few brands that are non-audio related that I would love to do sponsorships for. I came up with it, and I could easily frame this as these are brands and these are products that would benefit you as audio engineers, as people who record stuff all day. I'll walk through it. If any of these brands are watching, or if any of you work for these brands, get in touch with me. Let's go ahead and work something out to do an advertisement on Podcastage. And you could use this as my pitch. Number 1. Tudor watches and G-Shock watches. I don't think either will ever sponsor me, but here is my pitch for audio people. In your studio, you are not focused on your wristwatch. You are miking stuff up. You're moving stuff around. You bang it against walls. You bang it on speakers. You put it right next to magnets on the back of speakers. So it needs to be durable, but it also needs to be anti-magnetic. So if you are looking for a wristwatch, you need to get an anti-magnetic wristwatch using Tudor's Cerachrome mainspring. Did I get that right? You don't have to worry about your guitar speaker magnetizing your watch and losing or gaining time. G-Shocks, you can throw it out of a helicopter. It's going to be fine. It's not going to get ruined next to a speaker. There's my pitch. G-Shock, Tudor watches, aka the Hans Wildorf, whatever, contact me. Let's help Bandrew get that bag. Huckberry and American Giant. The 10-year hoodie from Huckberry, the American Giant t-shirts, I love them. The way I would pitch it, they're comfortable, they're well made, and they support very high quality labor practices. They are made in America. You understand you are paying people a much more fair wage in America than you are in other areas of the world. You know that the factory conditions are much more likely to be manageable, livable, decent. And if you are buying high quality audio equipment, you are likely to care about buying stuff that is high quality and manufactured in an ethical way. Huckberry, American Giant, get in touch. What's next? Lamy and Fisher Space Pins. Pins? Pens. They are reliable, they are comfortable to use, and you need something to write in your notebook to take notes about your production notes, which is something that I do whenever I change settings on my camera. I take notes. Okay, my ISO, all of that was taken here. So you need a pen right here, actually. I'm saying I want advertisements from companies whose pens I don't have in here. Actually, I do have a Lamy pen. A Lamy Safari fountain pen. Or Parker. I'll take Parker. Parker, I love your jotter pens. Go ahead, get in touch. Let's go ahead and do an ad. Then we have Field Notes, or any notebook company for that matter. You need something to write your production notes in. Like I said, every time I change my camera settings, I make notes of them so that I can revert back to the settings that I know work for certain situations. You should, legitimately, every person who runs a studio should have a notebook that they take notes in. A Streamlight. This is probably getting so boring for you. I am going to stick this bit. I am continuing it until it's over. This is my Andy Kaufman moment. I am saying I don't want to do ads, so I do a bunch of ads for free. A Streamlight. This allows you to find all the crap you lose under your studio desk. And as you get older, your eyes get worse. You need this. You can see all the specks, all the noise underneath your desk. I use this every day. And what else? Hydro flask, a water bottle, because when you have a water bottle that has a top and a straw, you don't have to worry about spilling water and damaging and ruining tens of thousands of dollars of equipment. That's it. That's the end of the bit. Bottom line, I won't do advertisements for just anybody. I will do advertisements. I would do advertisements on Podcastage for products that I use, products that I love, and products that make sense, that I am able to find some perspective, some angle that makes sense for the audience. If it is just, I don't know, a handkerchief, hey, in the studio, you really need a handkerchief. No, you don't. Why does that matter? I don't think I could find any way to make a handkerchief make sense for an audio channel. Surprisingly, I could make a water bottle. I could make a wristwatch. I could make a flashlight make sense for that. So that would be my criteria for accepting an advertisement, for doing an advertisement. I need to use it. I need to love it. And I need to be able to frame it in a way that makes sense for the audience, so it's not just random. Raid Shadow Legends! A downloadable video game is not going to benefit an audio person. Thank you very much, though. I appreciate it. Bandy gonna make that bag. I am going to make that bag. Next, this is going to be a one-off because Alan took advantage of me. He said, hey, can I send in a video comment? And boy, oh boy, did he take advantage of it. This is a 14-minute clip from Alan. Nobody else do this. Nobody else do this. Take it away, Alan.
This is the very first video comment, and maybe even the last, that Bandrew allows on the Bandrew Says podcast. And this is specifically responding to Doman of the Daily Tech News in trying to convince Bandrew to start taking sponsorships. I have a take on this I wanted to share also. As of the time of this video, Bandrew has spent over 8 years and spent thousands and thousands of dollars to review products to build up the name that he has on Podcastage. For consumer audio advice, people do trust him. He has that credibility and worthiness. Now, it doesn't matter how he receives the particular products. If he gets it for free, for example, then people are going to say, oh, you're just wanting to be a shill because you just want to continue to get free products. But this is not just Bandrew, it's everybody else. And if you receive a discount product, it's the same kind of thing. Oh, you just want to get discounts on their products. That's why you're the shill. But if you buy it outright, people say, oh, you're just a shill because you don't want to have everyone know that you buy complete garbage gear. So there's really no win regardless. But the people that know and trust you on your platform, they know and trust you. Technically, in the eyes of YouTube, you are a sponsored video if you accept any sort of compensation in exchange for doing a review. Whether it's a free product or it's a discounted product, if you receive any sort of compensation at all, including those two things, you are a sponsored review, which is why we have to take this little button right there, as you well know. At the very least, you don't have to purchase the item in order to review it. At the very most, you do the exact same thing, but you get an opportunity to review it before its release date and get your video out, so that way it's one of the deciding factors and people might hit your affiliate link to buy it. But it could be argued that if you receive any sort of money compensation from YouTube in the form of Google AdSense or from Amazon in the form of affiliate clicks, then you are receiving money compensation for a particular product. For example, you might review a product simply because it's brand new on the market and you might get a lot of clicks if you give it a favorable review. So you could be technically considered making money on it that way. But I'm going to pose a question to you, Bandrew. Remember the Epic live stream for the year 2022 when for the very first time I accepted sponsorships for the Epic live stream? Each hour could be sponsored by somebody, but it was a charity event, so all the money went to charity. Was I selling out at that point? You could say, yes, I was, because I still could be owing favors to people that supported my charity event. But you may say no because you didn't actually make any money off of it. But do you believe that any of the manufacturers that sponsored the Epic live stream believe that they're buying any favors from me if I ever reviewed any of their products in the future? No. They, I think, would know better because they know me, just like you, who sponsored 2 hours of the Epic live stream in the form of podcastage and through Geeks Rising. Do you think that I'm going to troll you any less or perhaps pester you a little bit less because you did so? No. You know me, and you know that, if anything, I'm going to do it more because of it. I'm going to pull in one more thing, and that is from something that you posted on Twitter where you said that once Podcastage is done with a particular product, you will be sending it back to the manufacturer. Okay, I have a certain take on that I'm going to share. I completely disagree with you on this point. Let me explain why. I'm extremely selective about the few products that I actually choose to review. And the reason why is because I don't like doing reviews. They take way too much time and way too much emphasis away from education, which is what I'd rather spend my time on. But if I agree to accept a product, I am giving it a fair and honest review. And I do state that. As a matter of fact, anybody that sends me a product, I make sure that they agree to my terms of service. So if anything, they are buying the opportunity to get one of their products into my hands for assessment. They're not buying my opinions. They are simply buying that, which is getting the product into my hands. Because at this point, if someone believes something I say, it's going to be weighted a certain way in the community. If I don't like something, it's also weighted a certain way in the community, and having my endorsement means something. So if a company believes in a product and is willing to send it to me, they're going to hope that I give it a fair and honest, happy review. To the audience watching and Doman, here is what Bandrew and I have talked about extensively in the past. And that is that we have a duty to our viewers and listeners. And that duty is to be completely and fair and honest with them. You are our customers, not the manufacturers. You are the ones that will choose to either watch us or to not. You are the ones that we actually care about the opinions of. But if a manufacturer were to sponsor one of our videos, then it's no longer just the audience that's our customer. It is now also a particular manufacturer that is our sponsored and therefore our customer as well. So your response could be something like, well, you're both sound channels. So what if you were to accept sponsorship from a company other than a sound company, like, for example, Raid Shadow Legends or some sort of a VPN? In that case, then technically they're not buying any favors from us because we don't review or do anything with those particular products. Okay, let's look at that one. The reason that the Bandrew Says podcast is not on the Podcast's YouTube channel is because it is not exactly related to consumer audio. It involves tech news, it involves other things, answering questions, and it's not just about sound, although that's a big part of it. It deserved to have its own separate channel, and Bandrew has talked about this extensively. So let me ask you this. Does his viewer, customer, care anything about those products? No, they don't. So why bother making your customer have to listen to an ad for a VPN or some sort of a service in order to pay the bills? As for my approach, I will only accept a product for review if it is either a product or a company that I'm interested in. For example, when K-Tech released the Mighty Boom, it had been out for months already, but I was interested in the Mighty Boom because I love boom poles, and my audience I knew would also like to hear what I have to say about him. So I did a review of that. And K-Tech liked it. I also use those polls in the real world for the classes I teach. I didn't do it just so that way I could get a free boom poll. I did it because it serves value to the community and the pro circle would actually like my thoughts and opinions on. As a matter of fact, some of my thoughts were put back into K-Tech's hands and they're using some of those ideas to make some of the products better. But what about companies that I like? Well, Fleetwood Films that produced the Boom Swinger and the Boom Buddy, both products which I reviewed favorably, they decided to close their doors in 2020. And I said, please, you got to make these available to us. Please sell these thoughts and ideas to somebody else who's going to carry on your name. And they then found a seller in Max Sound. Max Sound continued to make both of those products. And recently they launched 2 different boom poles. When I heard about that and I saw their email, I said, you know what? I don't want or need any more gear, but I'm interested in boom poles. I always like to have that. So in exchange for a short assessment of them, if you'd like to send them to me, cool. If you don't, that's fine too. I don't care. And they said, absolutely, Alan, we'd love to get your thoughts and opinion on them. And they are sending them to me right now and it's in the mail even as we speak. I want to see if Max Sound as a company is going to continue quality, just like with the Swinger and the Boom Buddy. So I'm very interested in them as a company and what kind of products they're going to continue forth with, because I need to know those kinds of things if I'm going to be able to review products going forward in the future, especially from Max Sound and people are interested in their products. Now, Bandrew, you know that if anybody ever asks our opinion about a product, you may say, well, just watch my video, or we might actually tell them our thoughts and opinions on it. Just like if they ask our recommendations and we refer a particular product or recommend it, it's because we like it. Just like we're not going to endorse or recommend something that we don't like. But we're not going to go out of our way to completely crap on a product that we don't like or speak negatively about it in public. This thing is complete crap. To me, this is not a microphone that needs to exist. The quality of the components are not at all what I would consider professional. Oh, this is so bad. Perhaps the camera gurus over there should consult sound people when they make a product for sound people. But I'm going to pose a question to you here, Bandrew. What about consulting in exchange for a free product? I was sent a product from a very well-known and established professional sound company that was looking to get into the boom pole game. Now, that company knew better than to release a completely garbage product, but they still sent it to me for my assessment and said, you don't need to review it, just tell us your thoughts. And in 24 minutes, I completely trashed the company and pointed out every reason in the world why it would destroy their name if they released this product. And they decided to completely scrap the project a couple of days later and suffer the hundreds of $1,000s worth of research and development. That is some of the benefits that people like us can give companies when they trust us. I'm in the same position as you when it comes down to potentially accepting money for a sponsorship from a sound-related company. There are many companies that would actually love to sponsor me, but I haven't as of yet. Does that mean, though, that I wouldn't in the future? Well, if I accepted money now, it would be considered me selling out because I haven't had a show since December 13th of last year. It's been 6 months, and the money right now would be highly appealing and would really help me out a bunch. But if I accepted the money, people would be saying, he's only doing it because of the WGA strike and him being out of work for months on end, so you're selling out. I know that. But what if I've had 2 years of solid work and I've gone show to show to show and there's no shortage of money in my account right now and I have really no reason to accept it other than deciding to at that point? Well, the big question I'd be asking is, would it change my relationship with my customers, rather the viewers? And I understand your opinion. Would you be doing a review or an ad? Well, if you were doing the Rodecaster Pro 2 review and you happen to be sponsored by Rode for that particular video, absolutely, it's a conflict of interest in my opinion, and you'd be doing an ad. But what if Neumann were to sponsor you for a Lewitt microphone review? Wouldn't that be a conflict of interest since they both manufacture microphones? Wouldn't it be kind of weird in the middle of like your 1 foot, 2 foot, 4 feet? Now, we're going to continue with our review, but first, Neumann, and start talking about Neumann microphones and what they do. That's very out of place. Your audience is going to find that very weird. Therefore, it does not serve them well in that circumstance. But if you were to do your studio tour for the year 2023 and you allowed Neumann to sponsor that, that's when I don't think it would be a conflict of interest because you would not be in direct competition with Neumann. Your studio and what you use, the SM7B, for example, and whatever microphone you're using at the time, that would not be driven by the fact that Neumann is paying you money for that particular sponsored video. Now, you could argue that that could gain favoritism in the future, but as long as you have very well-established terms of service that you establish with anybody that sponsors a video and you say, I am not, and under any circumstances, going to actually give you any favoritism in the future. You are buying this sponsorship for this particular video, and that's it. The end of our agreement and relationship is with this particular video. If they choose to sponsor you in the future, that's a totally separate thing, but your commitment to them ends with that video. Personally, I don't think that's a conflict of interest. I mentioned affiliate links before. Let me elaborate on that right now. There was a time in the past, a few years ago, that I thought that if I put affiliate links on my videos, people would think that I'm endorsing or trying to sell those particular products. I've established that I don't care if you click on the links or not. That's why I just say, hey, there's links down in the description if you'd like to check them out. Just like I don't tell people to like, share, subscribe, and donate to my channel. I just let them do that if they so see fit. But here's the thing that I had to consider. And after talking to you, Curtis Judd, Mike Delgadio, and other content creators, I came to realize that as long as I'm not pushing it, I can do it however I want to. I throw the links down there. If someone's interested, they'll click them. And you and I have even joked at the fact that I have now approaching 500 videos on YouTube, and I'm lucky if I get $20 per month in affiliate sales because I don't push them, nor do I care. Ultimately, though, Bandrew, you're going to have to determine for yourself whether or not the integrity that you've established is worth risking in exchange for ad revenue. If a company were to offer me money, I would consider it, but only if I didn't think that money was going to affect my integrity or relationship with my audience. And I would not, under any circumstances, accept that money in a time of need because I would question my own judgment and whether or not I was giving it a fair and honest assessment. But if I did decide to accept money and cash in on all the hard work I've done building sound speeds, just like you would be doing with podcastage, then it would be under certain terms. Like, for example, that my loyalty to your company exists only within the timeline of that video. You're sponsoring that particular video, not me as a person or my channel or anything. It is that video only, and my loyalty to you lives and dies within that video, and that's it. Bandrew has heard me say in the past, but perhaps you audience members haven't, and that is that I am all about making sound products better. If I give praise to something, it's because it was well earned. The audience knows that, the company knows that. But if I gave false praise to a product, the audience goes and buys that and then realizes that it's not good at all. The company received positive praise from it, and they also learned that they could buy an influencer. So I'm not about that. I want them to release a good product. When DJI released the Action 3, I saw a lot of people online that were part of the DJI program and big YouTubers say, this is a great action cam, it's wonderful, and then comparing it to the GoPro saying it's great in every way. But then smaller YouTubers and people that had to buy it were saying, you know what, this thing is soft focus. And it was only then that DJI actually had to recall it and then quietly started replacing them. But the big YouTubers' integrity was already questioned by the little guys. The big question to ask yourself, Bandrew, is would your audience benefit in any way from you doing sponsored ads? Obviously not in reviews. It would have to be a separate standalone video of some sort where there's obviously no competition or conflict of interest. But if, for example, you were to say, I'm allowing myself every single year 10 videos to be sponsored at a rate of $5,000 a piece, and whatever those happen to be, you would release a video that's not going to be a conflict of interest to that company on the channel. Your audience would know that perhaps that you would be using that money to buy a house and maintain a studio that you would be using to make sure that your videos were going to be consistent going forward. Or maybe you decided that that would give you the money you needed to hire a full-time editor so that you could actually take a breather and not be as stressed. Or maybe you like editing. But if the audience is getting any sort of a benefit out of you doing a sponsored ad, is it really bad? Or is it you just lining your pockets? That's the way I would look at it if I were you.
Alan, thank you very much for the video comment. I really do appreciate it. I know I was giving you a hard time for it being so long. I would love if more people did video comments. Just try to keep it under 90 seconds. I would absolutely love that. Another excuse for people to send in audio and video. That would be great. Let's go through a few of your questions. Question 1. Was accepting sponsorships for a charity live stream selling out? Do the sponsors believe they're buying favors in future reviews? No, that's an obvious answer. You received $0 from that. So what is the benefit of companies donating money to charity, sponsoring your live stream by giving money to charity? It's not favors. It's that they are decreasing their taxable income and they are getting promotion. They are getting positive publicity because, hey, this company donates to charity. That means they're good people. So they got their benefit because they got a decrease in taxable income. Their tax liability decreased. Don't come at me. I am not an accountant. This is not financial advice. There, I said the thing. And they got positive publicity. Number 2. What about consulting for a free product? I'm on the fence about this. If you just receive a gift, if you do consulting for a company and they say, hey, here's a free product, here is something that you don't have to use, it's just something, we're gracious. Here's a bunch of food. Here is a piece of gear that we made, but you don't make videos on it. Just, here you go. If it's a gift, I don't know. That's too on the nose. That's too close to being paid. I did kind of consulting. I didn't view it as consulting. I had a company send me a piece of gear to test out, to share my input on, my critiques, my pros, my cons, all of that. They sent it out. I tested it for a couple of weeks. I responded to them, said, hey, Here's what I like. Here's what I don't like. Here's what I would change. Here is what I think works, what doesn't work. They said, wow, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. Can we send you a gift card? Can we give you money for your time? I had to say, no, I cannot accept that from you, because from an outsider perspective, that could be perceived as you paying me. That means if I ever review your products in the future, if this ever got out that you sent me money, then that would be viewed as a potential conflict of interest. And that may be why I have such a big issue accepting money from companies. I expect every single email, every single communication to one day be public. And if all of my business emails got leaked, I don't want anybody to say, see, right there, I knew we couldn't trust Bandrew. Maybe that's because I'm paranoid. Maybe I am overly cautious, but I think that is why I try to be as ethical as I possibly can, because I don't want there to be any potential conflict of interest. I don't want there to be any perceivable conflict of interest. If my emails got leaked, I want anybody who reads them to say, yeah, he's clearly an idiot. He doesn't know how to type properly. His English sucks, but at least he wasn't unethical. At least he wasn't bought and paid for. At least all of these companies know that he won't accept money. They understand his ethics. They understand his, terms of service that he has on his site. They get it. So yeah, at least I could trust him. I may disagree with him, but he wasn't biased by that. He wasn't unethical. He wasn't a sellout. So maybe I am being stupid. I don't know. Oh, and to wrap up that story, when the product did come out, they didn't even send it to me. I went out and bought it with my own money to review. Zero conflict of interest. I didn't even get sent the product to review when it came out after doing that. And the third question, or the third point that you bring up, affiliate links are viewed as endorsements, and that's something that you are concerned with. This is a widely held belief among a lot of people in the audiophile community. If you include affiliate links in your description, if you have any affiliate links, you're a sellout, you are biased, you can't be trusted. The entire purpose of what you do is to sell products. So you cannot be trusted. I will never watch your videos. You suck because you have affiliate links. That is a widely held belief in certain audiophile communities. I have people berate me, leave incredibly rude comments, because in videos where I say, no, I do not recommend it, here is why. Here are the pros, here are the cons. I think it sucks. I think these are the flaws that make it not worthy of buying. And I still include an affiliate link. People get very angry and very rude because of that. Why do I do that? Because I do not want anybody to take my word as gospel. This can be seen by me including every single test, every single sound sample that I hear. I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you, the consumer, the person researching this, to be able to listen to the sound samples, listen to the comparisons, and say, wow, I really like it in this situation. I like it for this. I like the tone of it. That'll fit my voice better. It works well in this environment. I think I'll buy that. You can disagree with me. That's why I include everything. I don't think I have ever said, just trust me. Just trust me. I don't want you to. I want you to listen with your own ears, because this is a purchase that you are making to appease your needs, to appease your preferences. So my opinion doesn't really matter. Your opinion is the one that matters. So I include it because I spent my money. In many cases, I spent my time, in all cases, producing the video, testing, sharing that with you. And if that allowed you to make a more informed purchasing decision and you want to compensate me for that, even if we disagree, those affiliate links are there. Alan, again, thank you very much for the video comment submission. I appreciate it. I am not going to do any Ask Bandrew this week because this episode, I think it's going to be quite long. I appreciate you all coming by this week, listening, watching. Again, reminder, let's try to get this to be the most liked episode of this podcast on the YouTube channel. Next week, we'll run another experiment with the dislikes, but this video, go ahead and smash. I can't bring myself to do that voice again. I can't do it. I can't be that douchey that often. Stop it. Don't leave that comment. Bandrew, you're too douchey already. Daily. Leave me alone. And you're right. So go ahead and smash that like button. Let's get this to be the most liked video. And that is it. I hope you have an amazing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Sunday, I will talk at you. I love you so much from the bottom of my heart. You are an amazing human being, and I will talk to you next Sunday. Bye-bye. Whoa, whoa, boop.
This has been a Geeks Rising production. Your executive producer is Bandrew Scott. For more information, head over to www.geeksrising.com.